it is, the Viberide Brakeboard. It comes with a manual, little booklet that explains how to adjust all the different parts that are on there. And it comes with some tools, so you can actually adjust all the parts. So before we start the review, a little bit about me, so you can understand a little bit where some of my remarks come from. I'm 45 years old, started longboarding 1.5 years ago, I guess. And there are many things I'm very talented in, but everything with balance is not included. So some of the remarks I will have might seem very minor details to you if you are advanced or more talented than me, but to me it can have a big impact. I want to discuss the board first, because to me it was a bit surprising they chose this board, because it says a little bit about what they mean with the brake. And to do that I can't help it comparing it to my first longboard I bought, which is the Arbor flagship drop cruiser. So there they are, they're quite similar. For example, they're almost the same length. It's a little wider, at least the wheels are a little wider apart, minor. This is fairly low, which makes it more stable. This one is a little higher. It is also thinner, but much more flexible. And you can't see it maybe like this, but this is really flexible compared to this one. This is a little bit flexible, but this is much more flexible. That for me is a big difference, because it adds another dimension to movement. It sort of bounces, so when you go down, it pushes you up again. So that makes it tricky, for me at least. And it feels like that you have to be a little bit more advanced skateboarder to ride this board compared to the Arbor. And that made me think that the whole thing, including the brake, is not aimed at the beginners. It's not aimed per se for beginners level, but for people who have a little bit more experience or more talent for that matter, but it's not targeted at the beginners market. And I can imagine that the Viberide guys did not think about it, because they are very talented and very experienced, and they might say, well, there's minor difference between the Arbor and the Viberide longboard, the Bonsai Bliss. But for me, as not so much talent and a sort of beginner, this is a big difference. But I can see why they chose this board over that one, because especially at higher speeds, it's more comfortable. And because of the flexibility you get when you start carving, you get in a sort of rhythm or a sort of groove, which makes it much more fun. It feels a bit faster than the Arbor. Actually, I really like this board, although it is tricky and it feels a bit more dangerous. I can see why they chose this board over the Arbor. So, enough about the board itself, let's talk about the brake. That's why you're all here, and it took me long enough to get here, so I hope you're still here. It's simple. You push it and then it brakes. There are some parts that push outwards towards the discs that are mounted on the wheels itself. So it's a bit like a car brake. It's not a kill switch, so if you push it, it's not like you stop immediately, but you slow down. And the more force you apply, the quicker you will slow down. But it's not like you will tumble over if you push this. And that's interesting, because it felt like you have to apply quite a lot of force to slow down. And that means that you have to shift your balance. So usually your balance is more, when you're longboarding, your balance or the most weight is put on the front, and then you have to switch to the back. And especially when you want to slow down a bit because you are getting wobbly, because you're going too fast, you would apply weight to the front, so the wobble stops. But if you want to brake, you have to apply the weight to the back. So that's a thing again that makes it a little bit more tricky, because it's again a balance thing that might be a little bit more difficult when you are a beginner. If you're going slow, on the other hand, it's more or less the same as a foot brake, and it might replace the foot brake if you're going slow, because it's easier to change your foot like this than change your foot like this. So the whole setup, for me, it feels like it is targeted at more advanced riders. So when you're going fast downhill and you want to adjust your speed or slow down a bit, and you're going maybe too fast to foot brake, or you are not good enough to slide or whatever, this will help. To me, it felt like it's slowing down slowly. So for a beginner, it will help to brake if you're going slow, but then it feels more logical to mount this brake on a board like the R-board, because then you have more balance, and it's easier to do so. So that tells me that the brake is actually not meant for beginners. Certainly it's not, because it's still tricky to brake when you're at higher speed. If you are a beginner, don't think that you can use this as your brake. Yes, the brake helps, but if you are a beginner, don't try to bump a hill and go very fast and then try to brake, because you will break your neck. I saw these clips, and sometimes it sort of implies that if you are a beginner, you can start doing very dangerous things because you have this brake. I think that's not the case. I have to be honest, I'm not overly impressed with it. First of all, the bolts that are here that keep the thing together were after 1 hour of longboarding, they were loose. So it felt like, okay, I have to keep in mind that these are getting unscrewed. And when I try to adjust them with the tools, or to tighten them again, one of them already sort of broke. So I used this one to, you can put it in here, but this one is already gone, which is feels a bit, not much quality there. Second is there's a sort of grip sanded on, sort of grain, but it goes off very fast because this was almost gone after 1 hour of skateboarding. If you have the right shoes, you still have some grip, but it's coming off very fast. In my case, as you can see, this one stops and this one still is moving. Let's do that again. So both moving, braking. This one stops. This one is still moving. If you push it a little harder, then this one stops too. But so they're not in balance. So the whole system feels a bit like, it has some movement. It feels quite sturdy. But also one thing I like to add is that it is very noisy. So maybe because of there are more parts or whatever, it's very noisy. It rattles a lot. So altogether, I would say it's not bad, but it's not great either. So in conclusion, I would say that this board is a bit like Tinder, actually. It might be a strange comparison, but hear me out. You always bring yourself. So I think if you're popular in a bar, you will be popular on Tinder as well. But if you are not so popular in a bar and struggle to talk to people, the same will happen on Tinder for you. Although the app will help you a little bit to start, but it isn't the solution for you. And I think that's the same with this board. If you are a really advanced skateboarder and you're very good at it, you will find some ways to use this brake, and it might be very helpful to use it. And I'm surprised that so far I didn't find any clips of very advanced riders doing all kinds of tricks with these brakes, and sliding or whatever. Also, if you're beginning, you will find use for it as well, because it will help, and while learning foot braking, this can be a sort of in-between solution, or so to speak. But it's not like if you have this brake as a beginner, you can start to do very advanced and difficult and dangerous things all of a sudden. So there you have it, the Brakeboard, the Viberide Brakeboard Bonsai Bliss. Thank you for watching. Don't bother to subscribe or whatever. Usually I make music videos here, so I'm not planning to do all kinds of skateboarding instructions or reviews. You can always like it, of course, then I can see that you put your thumbs up. All right, that's it. Bye-bye.